Background and facts. New York state law required public schools to open up each day with the Pledge of Allegiance and a non-denominational prayer recognizing students' dependence on God. It allowed students to leave the room if they found it offensive. A parent sued the school board president, William J. Vitale Jr., claiming that the law violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which proclaimed that the government was forbidden from establishing an official religion or favoring one religion over the other. And the charge was led by Stephen I. Engel, a Jewish man. So this brings into question, does school-sponsored prayer violate the Establishment Clause?
So the Supreme Court's ruling was 6-1, saying that school-sponsored prayer is a violation of the First Amendment, specifically the Establishment Clause. Now, the majority reasoning was basically that this clause prevents the government from promoting any religion or prayer in schools, and the concurring opinion came from Justice Douglas, who tried to widen the scope of this case, this issue, and he tried to make it apply to any public institution. He said any institution that receives government funding is prohibited from promoting religion or endorsing any sort of religion or prayer. It's not just schools. And the dissenting opinion came from Justice Stewart, who favored kind of a less broad interpretation of the Establishment Clause. He basically said it's only there to prevent the establishment of a state religion, like something like the Church of England. And as long as the students can excuse themselves from these prayers, then it's not infringing on their right to practice religion. So basically, he believed these prayers were not a violation of the First Amendment. So just to dive a little deeper into the rationale behind this decision, the Establishment Clause, as Matthew said earlier, states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Obviously, the majority opinion in this case was that since these schools are government-run, they're public institutions, a school-mandated prayer is a clear violation of this clause. It's obviously the state establishing a religion. And basically, to defend the integrity of this clause, the majority cited history, and they said, look, throughout history, whenever the government gets involved in religion, bad things happen. I've got a picture of Henry VIII on the right. As a lot of you know, he started the Church of England during the Protestant Reformation, and it caused a lot of problems. It caused a shift in power dynamics, caused a lot of persecution, especially of Catholics in like the 15th and 16th century. And this is especially important in the United States since we're such a melting pot, we have such diversity of religion. It's obviously very important that the Supreme Court would uphold this clause.
Impact and significance. The ruling of Engel versus Vitale made government realize that the significance of religious prayer did not apply to everyone and that it was unconstitutional to force one's religion on another person. The Establishment Clause also applied to school-sponsored prayer. Even though students could leave if they felt uncomfortable, the ruling stated that it was unconstitutional to endorse school-led prayer. Some similar cases were the Santa Fe Independent School District versus Doe in 1990. A group of Texas high schoolers encouraged a student to use a loudspeaker to conduct prayer before a football game. The school claimed that since it was student-led, it did not count as school-sponsored prayer. However, the court ruled that since the loudspeaker was owned by the school, it was school-sponsored prayer. Another similar case was Abington School District versus Shemp in 1963. A school in Pennsylvania required that each day should open with the Pledge of Allegiance and a reading from the Bible. The court cited Engel versus Vitale and ruled that it was government endorsement of religion and violated the Establishment Clause.